The night my 6-year-old son whispered, "Mommy." Daddy's face is wrong again. I thought he was half asleep dreaming. But then he said something that turned my bones to ice. My friend says Daddy isn't Daddy. His smile is too heavy. And standing in the dark hallway, with my son trembling in my arms, I realized something chilling. He wasn't pointing toward the bedroom where my husband slept. He was pointing behind me. The hallway was too quiet. That strange, humming silence that feels like holding your breath underwater. The lights were off, except for the faint glow from the baby monitor in Emily's room. It pulsed softly, a tiny, innocent heartbeat in the darkness. I turned slowly, praying my son was mistaken. Nothing was there. No shadow, no figure, no wrong-faced version of my husband. Still my skin prickled like something unseen had slipped just out of sight. "Caleb," I whispered, kneeling down to meet his wide, fearful eyes. "What do you mean Daddy's face is wrong?" He clutched his stuffed dinosaur so tight it seemed strained. He said Daddy keeps forgetting which face he's supposed to wear. He said Daddy used to be better at pretending. I swallowed. Who said that? "My friend," Caleb whispered, like saying it too loud would invite something in. "The boy who sits in the corner of my room." My pulse skidded. "Caleb, you don't have a friend in your room." "Yes, I do." He nodded with heartbreaking seriousness. "You just don't see him because he said you're too loud inside your thoughts. He doesn't like that." I forced a shaky exhale. "What's his name?" "He doesn't have one," Caleb said. "He told me names make people easier to follow." A chill spiraled down my spine. I picked Caleb up and carried him to his room, flicking on the lights harshly. The room looked normal. Legos on the carpet, his cartoon spaceship sheets rumpled, a pile of laundry I hadn't folded yet. Just normal. "See," I said gently. "No, boy. Nothing here." Caleb shook his head. "He doesn't come when you're looking, only when I'm scared." That lodged deep in my chest, because Caleb had never said anything like this before. He wasn't an imaginative child type. He was observant, literal, quiet. He never lied. "Come sleep with me tonight," I whispered. He nodded quickly, burying his face in my shoulder. When we entered my bedroom, my husband was already asleep on the side of the bed, facing the window. Only the streetlight outside illuminated his shape. Caleb squeezed my hand. "Don't go near him," he whispered. My throat tightened. "Why?" "His breathing is wrong," Caleb said. "It sounds like two people trying to match each other and messing up." I wanted to tell him he was imagining it, but when I really listened, my husband's breathing did sound strange. Not labored, not heavy, just uneven, like an echo slightly out of sync with itself. I tucked Caleb on my side of the bed, farthest from my husband. My arm wrapped around my son until his trembling eased. I kept my eyes on my husband's silhouette, watching for any strange movements. Eventually, exhaustion won. I drifted off, but the nightmare woke me. The dream that didn't feel like a dream. I was standing in our kitchen. The house was dark. Only the refrigerator light glowed softly. My husband stood with his back to me, his body rigid, unmoving. I knew, instinctively, that something was terribly wrong. "Honey," I whispered. Slowly, impossibly slow, he turned his head toward me without turning his shoulders. His face was wrong. Not deformed. Not monstrous. Just wrong. Like a picture someone tried to redraw from memory and got the details almost correct, but not quite. His eyes were too still. His mouth too flat. His features too heavy, like a mask made from wet clay. I tried to scream, but my throat wouldn't open. Then he smiled. Too wide. Too long. Too heavy, just like Caleb said. His lips didn't move with a smile. Only his cheeks did, pulling upward in a disturbing, puppet-like motion. His teeth stayed hidden, but the smile felt predatory, knowing, and then his voice echoed inside my head, not in the air. "I almost fooled you." I shot awake with a choking gasp. Morning light streamed through the curtains. Caleb slept beside me. My husband's side of the bed was empty. "Honey, are you okay?" He was downstairs making pancakes like nothing happened. When he turned toward me, smiling warmly, I felt my stomach twist. He looked normal. Too normal. Late night? He asked gently. You okay? You look shaken. I forced a smile. Just a bad dream. He leaned in to kiss my forehead. I stepped back. His smile faltered. A flicker, like indignation or disappointment, passed through his eyes before he masked it with concern. You sure everything's all right? I wanted to scream. Are you wearing someone else's face? Are you breathing with someone else's lungs? Are you really my husband? Instead, I'm fine. But Caleb wasn't. He refused to go near his father all day. He clung to my leg. Every time my husband entered the room, Caleb's tiny fingers dug into my skin. He's watching me, Caleb whispered once. Who? Daddy. No, he breathed. The boy. He sits on Daddy's shoulders. He hangs onto his head and tells him what face to make. A cold, dizzy wave washed through me. What does the boy look like? Caleb shook his head violently. He told me not to describe him. He said if I do, he'll show you himself. I didn't ask again. That night, after putting the kids to sleep, I sat beside my husband on the couch. The room was dim except for the TV's glow. A sitcom laugh track filled the silence. My heart pounded. I needed to know. I needed something, evidence, proof, confirmation, anything. I turned to him. Do you love me? He laughed lightly. Of course. Why? Do you feel like yourself lately? He paused. A long, strange pause. His eyes stayed on the TV, but something in him softened like the question touched a nerve. Yes, he said. Why do you ask? I swallowed hard. My nails dug into my palms. Caleb said something weird yesterday. That got his attention. He turned fully toward me, expression intense. Oh, what did he say? I forced the words out. He said, you're not really his dad. He froze, for a moment too long. Then he gave a slow, steady breath, like he was rehearsing his reaction. And what do you think? He asked softly. I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. I think he's been having nightmares. My husband smiled, relieved, but it wasn't a normal smile. It was a wrong one. Too slow, too deliberate, too practiced. My chest tightened painfully. He leaned close, lips near my ear, and whispered, nightmares start from truth, darling. A tremor shot through my whole body. Then, just as quickly, he pulled back, laughing lightly, shaking his head. Sorry, bad joke. I didn't mean to scare you. But the tone, the voice, the way the words fell inside my head, it wasn't a joke. 2 nights later, I woke to Caleb screaming. Not crying, screaming. I sprinted to his room. He sat upright in bed, arms wrapped around his knees, rocking. He told me. He cried. He told me the truth. I grabbed him. Who? The imaginary friend. Caleb sobbed so hard his breath hiccuped. He's not imaginary. He choked. He stood in my room. He was touching the walls like he was choosing where to stay next. He said, Daddy's face is slipping. I held him tight. Sweetheart, it's okay, I'm here. Caleb grabbed my cheeks with both hands, forcing my face to look right into his tearful eyes. He said, Daddy is wearing someone else's life. My blood ran cold. What does that mean? I whispered. He shivered violently. The boy told me, Daddy has pockets inside him. I frowned. Pockets? Caleb nodded. Where he hides the leftover pieces. A nauseating wave rolled through me. Leftover pieces of what? Caleb didn't answer. He only whispered. Mommy. He said the pieces used to be people. I hugged him until he fell asleep from exhaustion. But I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, I couldn't pretend anymore. I waited until Caleb was watching cartoons downstairs. My husband was in the bedroom, buttoning his shirt for work. I stood in the doorway, heart hammering. Honey, I said, we need to talk. He turned slowly, smiling warmly. But his eyes, God, his eyes were too still, like they were watching me from a distance behind him. What's wrong? He asked. I swallowed hard. Caleb says strange things. My husband raised an eyebrow. What kind of things? I stepped closer. That you're not really you. A silence fell. Heavy, suffocating. His smile didn't fade, but it froze, like a painting. Then, in the softest voice, he asked, "And who told you first, our son or the other one?" My heart slammed into my ribs. "What other one?" I whispered. His smile widened. Too much, too heavy, too wrong. He leaned closer, breath brushing my cheek. "The one who's been sleeping in your side of the bed with you." Everything inside me collapsed into horror. I stumbled backward. My husband just watched me, smiling with that face that suddenly didn't look like my husband's anymore. Not even a little. The room felt smaller. The air felt heavier. Like something invisible was standing between us, watching, listening, waiting. I backed toward the hallway wall. One hand pressed against my chest, as if that could stop my heart from exploding. He stepped forward, not threateningly, not aggressively, but with a kind of gentle curiosity, like he was fascinated by me. "Honey," he whispered, tilting his head. "Why are you shaking?" My voice came out broken. "W, who is the other one?" He blinked slowly, and when his eyelids opened again, his eyes seemed slightly misaligned, just a fraction of a millimeter, but wrong, like they were settling into place after slipping. "The one who lies beside you," he said softly, "watching you sleep, breathing in your ear." I felt bile rise in my throat. I don't see anyone in the bed with me." He smiled, a long, deliberate stretch of lips that didn't match the expression in his eyes. "That's the point." I froze. He took another step toward me. I took another step back. The floor creaked beneath both of us, like the house itself held its breath. "You look at me," he whispered, "but you never look behind you." My skin prickled violently. He wasn't talking figuratively. I knew it. He meant it literally. Every hair on my body stood up like cold electricity shot through my bone marrow. "You're scaring me," I whispered. He smiled warmly, and that terrified me more than anything, because the warmth was rehearsed, practiced, as if he was mimicking emotions he didn't feel. "Darling," he said, "I don't want to scare you. I want you to understand." "Understand what?" I snapped. "That you're asking the wrong questions." Then he turned casually to grab his watch from the dresser. Something about the movement, smooth, fluid, perfectly timed, felt unnatural, like a video being played at a slightly wrong speed. He slipped the watch on without looking at it. "You should ask," he said quietly. "Why now? Why what now?" I whispered. His eyes lifted slowly to meet mine. Why the other one finally spoke. My breath caught. "Who is the other one?" I whispered again. For the first time, something in his expression flickered. Not fear, not anger, recognition. He stepped closer, too close, until I could smell his breath. But it didn't smell like him. It smelled metallic, like coal coins and old pipes. The smell of underground places. He whispered, "The other one used to be me." My knees nearly buckled. Before I could respond, a soft voice echoed up the stairs. A little voice. "Caleb, Mommy?" My husband had snapped toward the sound, so fast it made a subtle cracking sound in his neck. I didn't breathe. He smiled too wide again. "Family meeting time," he whispered softly, and he started walking toward the stairs. Caleb's small figure appeared at the bottom step, holding his stuffed dinosaur, face crumpled with fear. When he saw his father approaching, he didn't run away. He froze, not out of obedience, out of primal, instinctive terror. My husband reached the bottom step. "Hey, buddy," he said gently. "Rough night." Caleb didn't speak. He didn't even blink. He just whispered, "You're wearing the wrong skin." My husband chuckled, not offended, not confused, amused. "Your friend is teaching you such big words, Caleb." The boy grabbed the railing, knuckles white. He said, "You're getting sloppy." My husband's smile faltered for the first time, just for a second. Then he leaned down, way too close, to Caleb's face. "And what else?" he whispered softly. "Did your friend tell you about me?" Caleb's eyes filled with tears. He said, "Your pockets are leaking." My husband froze. A strange expression passed over his face. Not anger, not fear, annoyance, He slowly straightened and glanced up the stairs, toward me. "You see," he said, "this is why I didn't want him talking to the other children." "Other children?" I breathed. He waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, they're not really children anymore." I grabbed Caleb from behind, lifting him off the stairs in one motion. His little arms wrapped around my neck instantly, trembling. My husband only watched, his head tilted, that wrong face stretching in silent contemplation. "Where are you going?" he asked softly. "Stay away from us," I said, voice shaking. He blinked. Then he smiled, slow, perfectly calm. "Darling," he said gently, "you really don't know what part of me you're talking to right now." Something inside me snapped. I ran. I carried Caleb into the kitchen, slammed the sliding door shut, and locked it, though I knew, deep down, that locks didn't matter to whatever my husband had become. I placed Caleb on the counter. His small chest heaved with sharp breaths. "Caleb," I whispered urgently, "what did your friend tell you? You need to tell me everything." Caleb wiped his nose with the back of his hand. He said Daddy is wearing someone else's life. "You said that before," I said, voice shaking. "What does it mean?" Caleb stared at the pantry door. "He hides things inside him." "What things, Caleb?" He swallowed. "People." My blood ran cold. "What does that?" "Pieces of them," he whispered. "Their faces, their memories, their voices." I pressed a shaking hand to my mouth. No, baby, that's not." "And their families," Caleb continued, tears streaming now. "Keep waiting for them to come home. But they won't, because Daddy keeps their pieces inside." A wave of nausea slammed into me. A ringing sound filled my ears. Then Caleb whispered something that shattered what was left of my sanity. He said Daddy used to be better at matching the pieces together, but now they're slipping. Footsteps sounded in the hallway. Slow, measured, rhythmic, coming toward the kitchen. The sliding door handle rattled. My lungs froze. "Honey," my husband's voice called gently. "Come out. Let's talk like adults." I backed up, shielding Caleb behind me. The handle rattled again. Then a voice, softer than my husband's usual one, whispered through the crack, "You shouldn't be afraid of me." My heart stuttered. That wasn't my husband's voice. I had slept beside that voice. I had felt that breath on my ear. The other one, it whispered again, "You're asking the wrong questions." I felt tears prick my eyes. I choked out, "What are you?" A long pause. Then, "Hungry?" The door rattled violently. I screamed. Caleb screamed. And then it stopped. Silence. A horrifying, suffocating silence. My husband's voice spoke next, but this time it sounded layered. Two voices speaking at once. Two tones. Two rhythms. One slightly behind the other. "If you open the door," they whispered, "we'll show you the truth." I pressed my hand harder against the door. "No," I breathed. "No." Caleb tugged at my shirt. "Mommy," he whispered. The boy said something else. "What?" I whispered desperately. He said Daddy invited something into our house. I felt sick. My legs weakened. "What did he invite, Caleb?" Caleb's voice broke into a sob. He said Daddy invited the empty people. The door handle turned one final time, slowly, deliberately. Then the voices behind the door whispered, "We're not empty anymore." The voices whispered behind the door, "We're not empty anymore." For a long moment, nothing moved. No breath, no footsteps, no whisper. Just a thick, suffocating silence that pressed itself against the kitchen walls like wet cement. I held Caleb against me so tightly he whimpered, but I couldn't loosen my grip. Every part of me felt frozen. My spine locked in place, my heart thudding slow. Heavy beats that felt grotesquely loud in the stillness. Then a sound, a tiny wet clicking noise, like fingernails tapping against glass. Not on the door, not on the wall. Above us, on the ceiling. My chest seized. I craned my neck slowly upward, terrified to see something crawling overhead. Nothing was visible, but I heard it. Soft, skittering taps. Fast, like something was pacing. Then it stopped directly above me. Caleb buried his face in my shoulder and whispered, trembling, "Mommy, the empty people don't like lights." My breath caught. "What?" He pointed weakly at the kitchen lights. They said the lights hurt their skin. I stared at the cold fluorescent bulbs overhead. Suddenly, the ceiling creaked. Then, the kitchen lights flickered. A quick, violent stutter like the house was choking on electricity. "No!" I breathed. "No, no, no!" The lights steadied, and then a voice, low, distorted, as if spoken through waterlogged lungs, whispered from ceiling, "Turn them off. It's rude to make us wait in pain." I stumbled backward, pulling Kayla with me. My mind raced. If they hated light, then light was the only thing keeping them away. "Stay with me," I whispered Caleb. His tiny fingers clutched my shirt, shaking. I took a deep breath and inched toward the drawer where we kept a flashlight. Every step felt like stepping through cold sludge. My legs wanted to buckle, my lungs screamed to breathe faster, but any sudden movement felt like it would provoke whatever was above us. Click, skitter, a scraping sound. The thing on the ceiling shifted positions. I grabbed a flashlight, gripping it like a weapon. "Listen to me," I whispered Caleb, kneeling so he saw the seriousness in my eyes. "You do not let go of my hand. No matter what you see, no matter what you hear, you stay with me." He nodded, tears streaking his cheeks. The ceiling creaked again. Then, bam, a heavy, violent slam on the other side of the kitchen door. Caleb screamed. I spun to face the door. It shook again, but not like someone was knocking, more like someone was falling against it, over and over. Bam, bam, bam. Something thrashed against it, the handle rattling so hard it sounded like it would snap off. "Open it." My husband's voice, but wrong. Panicked, desperate. "Open it, open it, open it." Then another voice overlapped with his, a half second behind, deeper and wetter. "Let us in." I backed away from the door. "No," I whispered. "No, oh, God." The banging suddenly stopped. Then a new sound, slow, wet, dragging, across the floor. Not footsteps, something being pulled, something heavy, something that didn't care that it left a trail. Caleb whispered into my shirt, "They're trying on new shapes." A cold wave of nausea rolled up my throat. What does that mean? He stared at the door with wide, empty eyes. They get bored wearing the same skin too long. My stomach twisted. The dragging sound stopped. Silence. Then, a soft knock. So gentle it made my bones ache. 3 taps. Tap, tap, tap. My husband's voice spoke, soft and warm. "Honey, I'm okay now. Open the door." My blood froze. Not because it sounded like him, because it sounded exactly like him. Perfect. Accurate. Too accurate. Like a recording. Caleb's grip on my shirt tightened. "That's not him," he whispered. I already knew. Still, I forced myself to speak. "What do you want?" I asked through the door. A pause. Then the voice, still tender, still my husband, answered. "We want the one who sees us." It took a moment to understand. Then my heart dropped through the floor. "Caleb." I shook my head violently even though they couldn't see it. "You're not taking my son." A low, rumbling chuckle seeped through the doorframe. Not my husband's. Not the other layered voice. This one was new, deeper, older. "You still think you have a choice." My breath hitched. The house groaned. The walls expanding and contracting like it was breathing. The kitchen cabinets rattled. The window glass vibrated. The overhead lights flickered again, longer this time. "Stay bright." I whispered. "Stay bright." The lights dimmed. Then, with a sudden pop, they went out completely. Darkness swallowed the kitchen whole. Caleb screamed and clung to me so tightly I lost feeling in my arm. I fumbled with the flashlight, hands shaking violently. Click. Nothing. Click, click, click. Still nothing. "It's broken," I whispered. "No," Caleb sobbed. "They're drinking the light." He said they can do that. A cold, invisible wind swept through the room, brushing against my ankles. Something moved in that darkness. Something tall, something thin, something wrong. We've waited so long to be seen. The voice was everywhere. Around us, inside us, behind us. You should have slept when we watched you. My lungs couldn't take air. I grabbed Caleb and stumbled blindly toward the pantry, slamming the door behind us and twisting the lock. But it was pitch black in there too. Caleb buried his face against my stomach. "Mommy," he whispered, shaking uncontrollably. "They're here, all of them." My hands fumbled along the shelf. Jars, boxes, a bag of rice. Where was the emergency lantern? Where? My fingers brushed something metal. The lantern. I grabbed it, turned the switch. Light, dim, flickering, but enough to see. Enough to push the darkness back by a few feet. Caleb looked up at me, his face blotchy from crying. "What do they want with you?" I whispered. He shook his head. "Not me. They want the person who listens." A cold dread seeped into me. Listens to what? Caleb's eyes filled with tears again. To the house. I stared at him. "What do you mean?" He swallowed hard. "You heard the house breathing too, Mommy. You pretended you didn't, but you did. That's why they like you." The room tilted around me. I fell to my knees, the lantern trembling in my hands. "No," I whispered. "No, baby, you're confused." "They said you heard them before you got married," he continued quietly. "They said you heard them when you were a girl." My vision blurred. I tasted metal in my mouth. Memories. Old ones. Buried ones. Waking up to scratching behind my childhood bedroom wall. Hearing faint voices whispering my name from the air vents. Feeling watched even when no one was home. My mother telling me, "It's just the house settling." But I never believed her, because the house spoke back. "They said you ignored them for years," Caleb whispered. "But now you can see them again." A slow, heavy knock shook the pantry door. Once, twice, 3 times. The lantern flickered violently. Then a voice, my husband's voice, perfectly calm, whispered, "We found something of yours in the walls." My heart stopped. "What?" I whispered. Silence. Then a soft, small knock, like a tiny fist. Caleb froze. "Open the door, Mommy." A little girl's voice whispered sweetly. "I don't want to be in the dark anymore." Caleb's body went rigid. "That's the boy's sister," he whispered. "What sister?" I breathed. "The one Daddy accidentally kept too long." The pantry door handle slowly turned. I screamed and shoved a bucket of flour against it, then a crate, then anything I could reach to block it. Caleb covered his ears, trembling violently. The door shook. Harder, 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 until the entire pantry shuddered. I held the lantern up, watching as shadows moved outside the cracks of the door. Not one shadow, not 2, dozens. My husband's voice spoke again, this time gentle, warm, caring, exactly the way he sounded when we first met. "Honey, you're making this harder than it needs to be." My chest cracked with pain. "Let him go," I sobbed. "Let my son go." A silence thick enough to choke filled the air. Then, "We don't want your son." My breath caught. "We want you." The lantern flickered, dimmed. The shadows outside deepened, transforming into silhouettes of faces, distorted, stretched, melting like wax. Then the girl's tiny voice whispered again, "Come out, so we can be a family." Caleb clung to me, sobbing uncontrollably. And then, the lantern went out. Darkness swallowed us whole. Something inside the pantry moved. Something we didn't bring with us. Something breathing. Slowly. Deeply. The door lock clicked from the inside. The house fell completely silent after the thing wherein my husband's face whispered. He didn't tell you everything, but the house remembers. My throat felt like it closed. My knees weakened. And before I could stop myself, I whispered, "W, what does the house remember?" That smile, that horrible, still unchanged smile, it didn't even shift when he spoke. "Everything my kind has ever done here." Then he turned his head slowly, too slowly, like his neck bones were grinding, pointing the hallway that led to the basement door. A door I had never seen before. I swear that door had never existed. But tonight, it waited. My son, Liam, tugged my arm weakly. "Mom!" "Please don't follow him. Please. He wants you to go down there." His voice broke, trembling with fear too real, too old for a 6-year-old child. I held him close. "I'm not going anywhere." But the thing, that imitation of my husband, tilted its head. "You will. You always do. Every time." "Every time." "No." I whispered. "No, I've never been down there. You're lying." He blinked slowly. "You don't remember. That's the difference between you and us. We never forget." He walked toward the door. Not walked, floated, just slightly, just enough to make my breath stop. His feet brushed the floor like he didn't need it. He only pretended to. And then the basement door opened on its own, with a long, dragging creak, like something inside was pushing it open from below. A cold wind blew up the stairs. Not normal cold. A smell came with it. A smell like wet soil, old bodies, rotting wood, and something else. Something that used to be alive. Something that shouldn't be touched. Something that shouldn't have been dug up. My fake husband looked back at me. "Come. The truth is waiting." I should have run. I should have grabbed my son and escaped. But fear? Real fear freezes you in place like ice trapping a drowning swimmer. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't speak. And then a whisper came from the basement. A whisper that sounded exactly like my voice. "Help me?" My heart stopped. "Mom," Liam sobbed. "That's the other one. The one I told you about." I grabbed him tightly. "What other one?" He cried harder. "The one who looks like you. The one who cries a lot. The one who lives under the house." My bones turned to water. My mind turned to screaming. I stumbled backward, shaking violently. That's impossible. That's not." But the basement whispered again. "Please don't let him take our boy. Our boy. Our." The walls of the house felt like they leaned inward. The light flickered. The temperature dropped, so suddenly my breath fogged in the air. And then the thing wearing my husband's skin stepped aside. "Come see where you've been," he said softly. "Come see what you left behind." I should have run. Instead, I moved step by step toward the basement. Because the worst kind of fear isn't loud. It's quiet, heavy, pulling you in like gravity. I reached the doorway. The steps below looked endless. Wet wood, no lights, just darkness. Deep, swallowing darkness. I felt like if I stepped inside, the world above would close behind me forever. But then I heard it again. "Please, it's cold." A woman crying in the dark. A woman who sounded exactly like me. My knees shook. My hand trembled as I gripped the railing. And that's when Liam whispered, "Mom, if you go down, you won't come back." My heart cracked. I hugged him, forcing myself to breathe. "It's okay, baby. I'm not going down." But the house didn't care about what I wanted. The door slammed behind me. Slam. The lights went out. Only the basement remained lit, with a faint, unnatural glow, like the darkness itself wanted me to enter. The fake husband stood behind me. "You don't choose. You remember." I held Liam in my arms, but something pulled, gently at first, then harder, like invisible hands hooking into my ankles, dragging me, dragging us. My son screamed, "No, no, Mom, don't go." I dug my nails into the wooden floor, tried to resist, but the pull grew stronger. The basement hunger grew stronger. The fake husband leaned over us. "You can fight, but she's been waiting for you." "She..." I cried. He nodded, his smile widening in an inhuman stretch. "The one who traded her place with you." Before I could even understand the words, I slipped forward and the floor tilted. No, the house tilted, throwing me down the basement stairs. I clutched Liam close as we tumbled into blackness. I didn't feel the steps hit me. I didn't feel pain. It felt like falling through thick, cold water. Until, thud, we hit the bottom. Everything went silent. No sound. No footsteps. No breathing. just dark, but far ahead, a dim, flickering orange light. I stood slowly, trembling, and whispered to my son, "Stay close. Don't look away from me." He nodded, tears streaming down his face. We walked toward the light. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Something shifted behind the walls. Something alive. Something whispering. And then we saw her. A woman sat in the corner, her knees pulled to her chest. Her hair was tangled, dirty, her skin pale, her eyes swollen from endless crying. She wore clothes I recognized, clothes I had thrown away years ago. When she looked up, I felt my soul tear open, because she wasn't a ghost, or a demon, or a monster. She was me, my exact face, my exact voice, my exact sobbing. And she whispered, "You finally came back." I stepped backward, gripping my son tighter. No, this isn't real. You're not me." She tried to stand, stumbled, and crawled toward me instead. Her fingernails scraped the concrete. "Please don't leave me again," she sobbed. "Please don't let him keep me here." My vision blurred. My breath vanished. "Who are you?" I choked out. She reached toward me with shaking hands. "I'm the one he took." The basement groaned. The walls trembled. And behind us, a deep, heavy breath. The fake husband stood in the doorway. "You traded places with her," he whispered. "Years ago. You just don't remember. But we do." I shook my head violently. "No, I never." He came closer. "When you move into this house, when you heard voices in your sleep, when you dreamed of drowning in dirt, that wasn't a dream. That was the real you try and climb out." I felt like my mind cracked open. He leaned closer, whispering, "You took her life, her place, her child." And then he pointed at Liam. "Our child." My son screamed and clung to me. "No, Mommy's my mommy, not her." The other me sobbed. "He's my son. Please let me hold him." She reached out with trembling hands. I backed away, crying, shaking uncontrollably. "I don't understand. I don't remember. I didn't steal anything." The husband thing smiled. "That's the beauty. We let you forget. We let you live above. But everything taken must be returned." He stretched out his hand toward Liam. "It's time." My son screamed, "Mom, don't let him take me. Please." I held him so tightly my arms ached. "No, he's mine." The other me sobbed louder. "No, he's mine." The house rumbled. Dust fell from the ceiling. The walls pulsed like a heartbeat. The fake husband spoke calmly. "Someone must stay in her place. The house requires balance." I shook my head in terror. No. The other me grabbed my leg. "Please. I've been alone in the dark for years. Don't leave me here again, don't." Everything happened at once. The house roared. The lights exploded in sparks. The basement split open like a mouth. And the husband thing reached for my son. I screamed. My son screamed. The other me screamed. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I just did the only thing a mother could do. I shoved Liam behind me, threw myself at the husband thing, and screamed, "Take me instead." The basement went silent. The husband thing blinked. The other me stopped crying. Liam froze. And the house smiled. Not physically, but I felt it. Every wall, every floorboard, every breath of the house. Smiling. The husband thing nodded slowly. "As you wish." His hand touched my chest. Cold like stone, burning like ice. And the world swallowed me whole. I woke up in darkness. Cold, wet, hungry. The basement, but deeper. Somewhere beneath time. Somewhere houses don't show. And I heard footsteps upstairs. A woman laughing with my son. A voice that sounded like mine. But happier, brighter, free. The other me. The one who got her life back. They forgot about me. Just like I forgot about her. But at night, when the house settles and the walls breathe, I hear my son whisper, "Good night, Mommy." And I whisper back through floorboards, I'm still here, but he never hears me. Only the house does, and it always whispers back. You chose this. Be careful what pain you ignore, what warnings you dismiss, and what truths you refuse to face. Sometimes, the things we bury, the people we forget, the versions of ourselves we abandon, come back hungry. Every choice has a price, and every home remembers. If this story kept you hooked, scared you, or gave you chills, backhand index, pointing right, subscribe to the channel, thumbs up, like the video, speech balloon, comment more, bell turn on notifications, because the next part is even darker, and the truth is only getting started. Comment if you want part 2, where the mother in the basement discovers she's not alone, and realizes something else has been trapped with her all along, a presence older than the house, older than memory.